You are tuning in to another episode of Almost Paradise, a Bachelor pod dedicated to the Bachelor franchise, but mostly that we are two hosts that cannot wait for Paradise. I'm Sammie, and I'm joined by the very lovely Kate. And Kate is going to take us through a quick overview of this episode.
First of all, is it almost paradise? We're getting there. We're getting there so close. We're on the finale. This is the last episode we have to cover of The Bachelor. So let me just tell you what happened in this shit show 3-hour finale special. We go into Nemacolin. Matt is introing his women and how he feels about them. Then he goes and meets his mom, Patty, and his brother, John. Michelle comes in. She meets the family. Rachel comes in. They meet the family. And then Matt and Rachel go make out in the woods. Matt seeks counsel from Patty and John. And Patty says, love is not the end all, be all. And then Matt just starts to crumble from there. He has a little quick chat with Chris Harrison where Chris Harrison is just like, so are you going to perform the duties of the job we hired you for? Or what? And then he moves on from that. He goes into a little date with Michelle. He's still crumbling. He's still panicking. And so he ends up just dumping her, breaking her heart. Cannot keep it together. Does not see Rachel on her final date. Goes to see Neil Lane for therapy? Question mark. And then gives the final rose to Rachel in a weird English tutor in the middle of Nemacolin. And then we hear about how that ends up much later. Anyway, what an episode. Sammie, what did you think?
I found this to just be like kind of triggering, watching somebody just going down the spiral, realizing like, oh, this is actually real. I am actually contractually obligated to propose to somebody and it's real life. We're not playing pretend.
Yeah. I don't just get to make out with 30 women. I have to actually propose to one.
Yeah, I have to kind of hold up an end of a bargain, and I've never been in love before. So why do I think that this first time out the gate, I'm just really going to get it right when he gets it so wrong?
Oh boy. I mean, it was like all of our fears, I feel like. Watching this season, everything we've said, Matt's not ready, that all came to a head this episode. I will say it felt so similar to that Serena P arc, right? He's like, I'm into it. I'm into this. ABC producers have told me like, my wife is in this room. I have finally believed this crazy shit they're telling me. And so he goes to his family to be like, right? And his family's like, I mean, you don't want to get engaged. And he's like, I don't want to get engaged.
Yeah, he's like, I don't.
I have doubts. I mean, we knew his mom was going to be like this crazy juxtaposition. Like they've been teasing that. But like, I didn't realize, I kept joking about it, but I didn't realize like what a harsh like definer that conversation was going to be for him. And it was clear.
Yeah. I mean, Patty is the mom that I see myself becoming. Maybe not like I'm hoping that I can raise a family with a partner is probably my preference, but if I had to do it alone, that's fine too. But I just so felt like I was Patty, where she meets Michelle and just bursts into tears. And then every time she's talking about Matt, she's crying. And I was like, that's going to be me as a mom.
Absolutely. I'm just going to be so obsessed with my kids. Like, and it was so funny. She was like, I can't control who he loves and who loves him. And like, there was a part of me that's like, Patty, that's problematic. You don't need to control what your kid is doing. But absolutely, as a mom, I know how. Yeah, I know how enmeshed I am with my dog Timothy. Can you imagine if he was a human trying to date? I would be a mess.
Yeah. I mean, it's like when you're an outside party, you can see fucking messy relationships.
Yeah.
And and I'm sure she's looking at some of this and being like, well, you guys found each other on a TV show and you're trying to get married after knowing each other for 2 months. It's a lot for a parent to wrap their head around. So she's like, I get to meet this girl once before you propose. That's wild as a mom. And it like just feeling so helpless in that situation that like, how do I prepare you for the level of heartbreak if this doesn't work out? And I'm sure she's really tried to protect these boys with everything.
Yeah, well, and also like counseling them on how to let down somebody else. Like she's like, I know this is going to be hard for you because you have other people's feelings involved. And she knows that he's a fawner and is like very concerned about what these other girls are going to be thinking. And I feel like that kind of snaps him out of this pattern he's been in. Like, I think he was trying to, I mean, Matt was there to be a good boy, right? Like he was there to do what the producers asked. He was like going to be their all-star lead and he was going to be the man that all these women wanted. And then he saw his family and was like immediately brought back to like, oh, at the core, maybe this isn't who I am and this isn't what I want. And I don't need to just be making everyone happy. What I found really interesting was he kept talking about, he was like, I could just say what these girls want. Like I could just say what these women want to hear. And I'm just like, I know his struggle is also more so about like production.
Yeah.
I would say like a nuanced, different perspective of that is like what production wants of him, what America wants to see from him. Like he has so much pressure and he legit cannot handle the pressure.
It's so much. Yeah, I really sympathize for him that he is in this really difficult position. He's the first Black Bachelor. There's so much added pressure with that I think Rachel Lindsay probably felt this on her season, was like, oh, I hold the future of if they're ever going to cast another person of color as a lead, just simply like how well my season does.
Yeah.
And like, am I going to get ratings and you know, just all of the stigma. Like I mean they addressed it at the beginning of the season, like, you know, there's a lot of expectation of what type of person Matt is going to choose by the end.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine having that also in my brain. It's so hard to know like what is right for you, especially like on a long-term basis.
Yeah.
That kind of commitment can be really scary, and that's what we're kind of seeing him like realize.
Yeah, he's fully grappling with like the weight of his decision. Now I don't know if he goes about it the proper way. I am so heartbroken that like the way that he kind of melted down took Michelle out with him too. I don't think he was ever going to pick her. I think his final choice was always going to be Rachel, but his spiral went to the forefront of his mind, and that was all that he cared about. And so it was hard for him, I think, to like give Michelle a proper, kind, fully formed breakup. Like he left her with so many question marks.
Yeah. There was this really sad moment where she's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do right now. Do you want me to chase after you or like what? Because she's just so incredibly blindsided, and she probably sees that he's an abandonment issue type of person. And typically what avoidance will do is push something away that's good for them, sometimes as a test. And so I'm sure on her brain, she's like, am I supposed to chase after you right now? Is that like what you're trying to do, is create that dynamic? I don't know, like if it was like a subconscious question that just came out, or
Yeah,
if she was even aware.
It's a real question, and I think it's something that people definitely consider in their breakups. Like, how serious is this? Like, are we supposed to fight right now? Like, are we supposed to fight for this right now? Or am I supposed to just say, I hate this decision, but I have to respect your choice and move on? Like, I felt for her so much. She spent the whole day, like Michelle definitely was also like a very good girl for production. Like she was like, I'm into Matt. I am going to talk about how excited I am. I'm going to assure him how assured I am in our feelings so he doesn't have any question mark in where he needs to make this choice. And like now what we know of Matt is like he wants to assure somebody. He wants to be able to kind of take them along on the journey and like lead them with him down this path. And like Michelle was so strong and so focused on what she needed to do that like she never was going to be that person for him, which is so annoying because she's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think he really likes being line leader, and
Yeah.
she's already a line leader,
Yeah.
and you can't have two.
Yeah, too. And then Rachel was just playing right into it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how to walk in a line, and like, this is really hard. And like, can you hold my hand and maybe take me through? I don't know where my classroom is. Like,
Mhm.
he really helped her out.
Yeah. Yeah. Through like everything. I think the unsung hero of this episode is Matt's brother.
Ugh, John is the best. The best.
He's iconic. I want him on every season as a coach. Like, he was asking the real questions that
He came in there with the grill in his teeth and a white wine in his hand, and he was ready to grill these women.
yeah. And I loved his like Enrique Iglesias beauty mark.
Oh, he's beautiful. I feel like we have like the genetics went like one way for Matt. He's like very like, hello, like superhero. And then the brother is just like, I'm cool. I get it. I'm not here for a specific answer. I'm here for a vibe.
Yeah.
I love him.
He was my favorite. I think he wins this season for me, just in his brief little like intro to him.
Maybe
He's
he and Michelle should run off together.
yes. I mean, he just was asking all of the mature questions, and he's the younger brother. So he seems to like look up to Matt in a lot of ways. So I see that in him, that he's actually the more mature one,
Yeah.
who's like,
Yeah.
something, I don't have the expectations on me, but yeah, something's not working here.
Something's not connecting. And it was also, I think, really telling that they all got together and were like, oh, this is the first time really since high school that we've met anyone that Matt has dated. He's been really like shielded and protective. And I'm just like, another great reason as to why he was not ready to be your bachelor.
Not, and it's okay. Like, I just really felt for Matt in a lot of ways. I think he just potentially doesn't really have like a secure identity yet.
Yeah.
That's kind of the impression I'm getting. And he needs a lot of external validation to be able to move forward with things.
Yeah. Which, like, fast forward, if you think about him and Rachel being together at the end of this and dealing with all of her issues, like, none of that experience with Rachel of what she's dealing with on social media and all the stuff she's posted, like none of that's going to be validating to Matt and to Matt's experience, especially after being put through the ringer from a bunch of like white producers who don't understand Black story and have just like raked you over the coals in front of all of America. Like he is going through it. I know there's a lot of like, he's getting a lot of hate. He's getting a lot of criticism based on like his showing and after the final rose. But like, of course he doesn't have to be with Rachel. He does not have to take on her emotional labor. He's been through enough. I was like, I felt really proud of him because I was just like, he does not, I don't even know if this is necessarily against Rachel. I don't think he wants to give ABC or Warner Brothers the happiness of a beautiful reconciliation and a happy ending. He does not want that to happen on camera. He knows how fucked he's been by production, pre, post, during all of it. Like he's like, this is what you get. We're not together because you had bad vetting processes and made me fall in love with that clown right there.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, Rachel was never malicious in her intentions, but just purely ignorant. Emmanuel,
Deeply insensitively ignorant, which
yeah,
like I love that they broke that down. Like, God bless Emmanuel
oh,
Acho for breaking down like Rachel and Rachel racial insensitivity versus actual racism. He's like, no, you're not like out there actively being racist, but you are causing harm with these actions anyway, just because you're too
yeah,
ignorant to know not to do that.
yeah, you're perpetuating pain for groups of people. And your intentions may not be malicious, but it doesn't make the pain any less in your actions. Yeah, I really think Rachel is just way too young for this. I mean, to be a woman in the spotlight at any age is really difficult, but I don't think she was ready for the magnifying glass that was going to be. I mean, she's better for it now that she's, has people holding her accountable for these actions, and, it's offering her an opportunity to grow that she probably wouldn't have had otherwise.
No, I don't think she would have had this. There's no way she could have had this learning experience if she didn't go on the show.
Yeah, but you can just see in all of her actions and everything that she says, she's just way too young. I don't think she understands
Yeah.
what she's talking about for the most part. It feels like somebody has fed her a speech.
Yeah.
She's just parroting back because she's just trying to do her best to navigate something that I think she is way over her head in.
Absolutely. And I think the fandom is stressful AF. Like,
Yeah.
saying the right words, having the apology be dissected across podcasts, Instagrams, groups of people, like that is a lot of pressure. She had a little like a red stress raspberry. She was wearing a really beautiful like one shoulder, and she had a stress raspberry. She kept like pulling her hair over here. But like absolutely in the hot seat. That's to reckon with your racially insensitive actions on TV on a national platform in front of the guy that you just lost because of those same exact racial actions. Like,
Yeah.
I hope they gave her a fat Xanax.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
really
I was watching something today. It was like an Instagram reel where they were like, the three hardest things to say are, I was wrong, I need help, and Worcestershire sauce. I can't say
and
it.
Rachel and racial.
But yeah, I mean, she's up there just publicly saying, I was wrong, which is so hard for most of us to, admit those things. Most of the time, we just want to double down and be like, no, I'm right. I don't want to be a bad person.
Yeah. I watched this really funny reel that was like, people make mistakes. And then it's like, you repeat, yes, people make mistakes. And that's okay. And that's okay. But if I make a mistake, that's also okay. No, not me. No, I never would make a mistake. No, I'm a failure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that inner critic who just gets really loud, who's like, you suck. You're a bad person. How could you do that?
Yeah. Well, and then you also have like trolls that are saying the exact same shit to you in DMs and your comments. And like that does a lot for you. But also, Rachel she answered that question correctly. He goes, Emmanuel Acho goes at the top. He goes, how are you? She goes, that's a loaded question. I'm not going to victimize myself. It's been hard, but like, I'm not here to victimize myself.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah, it should feel shitty. And
yeah,
like, I feel shitty, but I realize why. And I absolutely should feel this way. So don't feel sorry for me, because I'm in this boat because of me.
Did you see her Instagram story that she posted, like, I think on Tuesday?
No.
I unfollowed her last week because I was like, this is the end of the season. I don't need to know what's happening with her. I don't need to give her like more money or whatever. So I unfollowed her, but Here to Make Friends Pod reposted her screenshot, and it was basically, I'm going to do a bad job. I'll reiterate what I remember in my brain. It was like, do you guys think that coming and hating a man that I love is protecting me? Like, please don't hate Matt. Please don't come to his page and tell him how shitty he is. Like, that's not protective of me. That's not in support of me. I don't want that. Like,
Yeah.
of course, that's not what I want. So thank God. I don't know.
I'm so glad she didn't white damsel it.
Yeah, whoever is holding her hand and carrying her through this learning lesson, thank you. You're giving her some great information. I hope she is going over this shit in therapy and not just learning, some nice little things to say on the TV.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, speaking of therapy, she has a moment before everything. I think she's just met his family, where
Mm-hmm.
she goes, Matt is the most incredible man I've ever met, and he's so perfect in my eyes. And that's kind of a problematic statement because it's like deceptively sweet. Yes, I
Yeah.
think a lot of times we say that because we think that's what the other person wants to hear, but since she's just alone with the camera saying these things, to me it signals that she's created a fantasy version of him, which
I mean, that's what this show thrives on, is like,
absolutely,
can we trick all of these people to fall in love so fast?
absolutely. And that kind of like having a fantasy of someone is really unsafe in a lot of ways because it makes you blind to their red flags. So Matt has been littering red flags all over the place. And
I
Rachel,
think about that one that you said. You were like, he's looking for love on TV. That's a red flag.
exactly, he's looking
She
to
can't
fall in
see
love
that as
for
a
the
red flag
first
because then
time.
she would have to understand that as a red flag within herself. So I think why they're falling in love is that all my red flags match your red flags.
Yeah, no, they really do in a way. But
They seem very similar to me. Like when she shows up to meet the family and she's like, what kind of person do you want me to be? Which is exactly what he asked all of his hometown women.
yeah,
Like, how am I supposed to win over your family? And they're like, be yourself, stupid.
mhm,
And he kind of, I mean, he nicely says that to her too. Like, please just be yourself because I want them to know you. Like, I know you.
yeah, I
But
don't
she
want them
struggles
to.
with the same shit.
No, they're I think they are two kindred spirits on a similar journey, and that is what has attracted them to each other. And I'm a big fan of this concept called soul contracts. And so everybody who is in your life for a long period of time is most likely a soulmate. And every soulmate has made a soul contract with the other. So that is not necessarily good things, it's also bad things. But for the most part, you go to that other soul in the beginning and you say, here are all of the things that I want to learn, or I just really want to grow, or I think I need to experience the full spectrum of emotion. So if you can, be mean to me, or, something like that, because, you have people in your life who are not always kind to you, who are just part of your journey that get you to a specific outcome at the end of it. And that's usually they leave your life when that soul contract is complete. You've learned what you wanted from that other person. And so I don't know if their soul contract is complete. It could be that through Matt's experience that she's been able to grow as a soul and learn how to maybe more empathy and to be more sensitive to other people's experiences, and that you know you want to build everybody up into having equal opportunities and to not be judged by the color of their skin, or not taking actions as she did when she was younger. So
Well,
if
think
anything.
about it too, and like what people are upset about with her past experience, like it's very much like Rachel centered in doing what she thought was fun, in doing what her friends and doing what she thought was correct. And so I
Yeah,
think this soul contract that she maybe has with Matt, she is now allowed, she's opened herself up because of this horrendous learning experience that they've had to go through. Like she now knows that you have to think about, yeah, other people and their stories. And it's really hard that this is the way she had to do it.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I get from her that she gets it. I get from her that she doesn't want to be this disappointing to
this many people, especially the guy that she fell in love with and his family.
Yeah, I do believe that she does strongly have feelings for him. I think it's kind of blurring more on the lines of like an obsession type of love.
Yeah.
Which is not, it doesn't always have to turn into you being a Colton stalker, but I do think that she falls into a love addict like category, and I think Matt does as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Emmanuel Acho being like, this is potentially the last time that you're ever gonna see this man. You can't say that shit to love addicts because
No, he wanted an emotional reaction. He was hoping that would trigger them to be like, what?
the last time.
I have that diamond from Neil Lane in my pocket.
I got that 3 on my back.
I got 3 on my back.
But yeah, like you can't say that to addicts. It's like when you remind somebody, oh, this is going to be the last sip of alcohol you're ever going to have. They go,
Well, I'm going to drink the whole bottle and die tonight. Thank you.
yeah, you can't remind somebody of lack. Like when you remind somebody's brain, like there's going to be a lack of something, it goes haywire and it goes, I'm not doing that. Especially like an addict brain, it's like, I need this. So
I need this. Yeah. Well, and also she was talking in the moments of saying Matt is so perfect. She was also like, I think he's the other half of a person that I have been looking for, which in itself is just problematic language. Like I didn't necessarily know this in my early 20s, but like you should be a fully formed whole ass person. And then you should find another fully formed whole ass person. And that's how you create a good partnership. So like already like her thinking, the word she is using shows us that she is not necessarily feeling whole herself and ready for like this kind of commitment.
Oh, she missed the purpose of the missing piece, that little children's book. The purpose was that there was no missing piece. Like
missing piece is Matt James. What are you talking about? It's the only one that can fit it's the only puzzle that can fit in my piece. He has a stretch limousine. It fits nicely in my garage. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's a penis joke from In the Heights, the musical, if nobody understood that.
But yeah, I mean, that's the whole moral of that story is that at one point the piece finds a piece that fits, but then that when it rolls around, that piece gets left behind and they go, oh, well, they really, that piece was never my missing piece ever. And I'm actually whole now.
I did this myself. I've been whole this whole time.
Yeah. So Rachel missed that.
I think she's learning that in her
hope so.
Trainings and her podcasts and her books and her.
Yeah, I really hope she's learning not only about how to be more racially sensitive and more proactive and helping raise other voices, but I hope that she's also learning about healthy relationships and how to have a healthy relationship with yourself, and that you don't need somebody else to prove that you're lovable. You just are. And I think she, during these last few weeks, has been desperately hoping Matt proves to her that she is lovable.
Yeah.
Which is not.
She's been banking on that. Like, she's been like, I think I am special from what I can gather in this situation. I am special. I'm the one he needs to validate this experience. I mean, that's hard. I wish a big, very therapist to both Rachel and Matt.
Yeah.
And Chris Harrison, and also firing for Chris Harrison.
Yeah, he just doesn't need to be on our TV screens anymore.
Emmanuel Acho was such a breath of fresh air, but even before that, like the heart-to-heart that Matt like seeks Chris out about, and is like, I need to talk to someone who has been through it. Chris has obviously been here for every bachelor and every bachelorette that has been deciding to fall in love, and all Chris can do is be like a company man. Like all he can be is like, so yeah, like he didn't say this, but like it was very much a vibe of like, We hired you to propose to a woman. We're selling a love fantasy that makes no sense. We don't see color here on this show. Why aren't you subscribing to all of the same shit?
Yeah, he's just very much like, so are you confirming that you're not able to fulfill the terms of your contract?
The
I
duties
just want
that
to
you've
verify
laid
that.
out to do.
Yeah, that we've hired you to propose to somebody at the end of this. I just need to make sure that I verbally have you in like a breach of contract.
Absolutely. And can you talk about like what if we replace Chris with like a coach in that moment? Like what if Sammie was a Chris Harrison right there? Can you even, I mean, I would love to watch that as a viewer of like, Matt, what you're going through right now is your fear of commitment based on the shit that you were raised with your dad and your mom. And that's okay. You're not going to ruin your mom like your dad did. Like, it would be nice for him to grapple with that with an actual person who understands love and relationship.
Oh yeah, no, I would just
hook-nosed Chris Harrison.
Yeah, I would just absolutely sit there with him and go, so what is creating this change of heart? Because you were so down to get engaged by the end of this. Let's talk through it. What happened? What factors are causing you to about face? And what have him define kind of what's going on in his brain, and just letting him actually vent through it till he can get to the solution. And it could be, he's seeing things in a very abstract way, which leads to fear when you can't describe what it is that is happening. So it just run away instead of like, okay, when you voice your fears, it makes it way less scary. So
especially if you voice your fears with someone who can hear them and reiterate them back to you in a helpful way, not just go, okay, so you're like gonna meet with Elaine because like we're contractually obligated to have him on our TV for 5 minutes.
Yeah, and he was just completely undermining all of the advice that Matt's mom had just given him.
Oh, he shit on his mom's advice so quickly. His actual quote, first he says, Matt unloads to him and he goes, that's a lot, which is not what I look for in a confidant. And then he goes, don't worry, love ends. What kind of greeting card is that?
I know. I was like, wow, that's kind of a shitty thing to tell someone when they're trying
Matt is so obsessed with his mom. Don't talk shit about Matt's mom.
And we're not talking about greeting cards here. A lot of the greeting cards in stores are shittily written. Don't even get me started on that.
I know, Hallmark. We're canceling you.
Get your shit together. Redo all of your sympathy cards. They are so terrible.
Don't worry, love ends. It's a beautiful card. It's
I'm not gonna
for a breakup.
Yeah. Oh man, but I'm not trying to send someone a card right now. I'm trying to make a decision that's very important to the rest of my life right now.
Yeah, and my mom saying to me, don't worry, love ends, is based in real harmful, hurtful, crazy trauma that she went through that I had to witness as a young boy. So Chris, like, think about other people, Chris. That's also his problem. He cannot see beyond his own hook nose. I'm just going to keep talking shit about his nose because that's all I feel like I can.
Yeah. No, he's just not the right person for these conversations, and just completely minimizes issues and is really trying to steer Matt back into, we got to do a proposal at the end of this, buddy. And just
we have the little by the lake scene set up for you to propose. So
look like a disapproving dad the entire time.
Yeah. And it's like, that is absolutely not what Matt needs right now.
And honestly, love is not what makes a marriage. I think more people need to stop like acting on the feeling and look at marriage as more of a business contract.
Yes.
It is simply including the state, the government into your relationship with this person. And so you need to make sure that they are somebody who also understands that and is not trying to get caught up into the wedding, because you can have a wedding and not legally get married at all. And
Oh,
that's fine. If that's what you want. Yeah. So you like, yeah, I think more people need to understand that it is not like almost nothing to do with love and everything to do with it being a business decision. It's
And
not.
I honestly think that's what his mom was trying to say to him. It is not what Matt took away from the conversation. He was not ready to hear that, I don't think. Like, he was ready to get a validation for him to run, and he got it, and he was like, bye, I'm out.
Yeah.
But I think that's what his mom was basically saying is like, love ends. Who's the woman you could actually like make decisions with and run a family and run a life? It's not all love. It's really about where you're, things like, I think she was just trying to get him to like dig a little deeper into his two couples. I hope she was trying to tell him to pick Michelle.
Yeah, I think so, because I think there was a very different reaction to Rachel, that Rachel was young, that she, which, is, I know we shit on.
Came in insecure, which I don't think is a bad thing, but she was like, I've been so nervous and like I'm excited.
So in love.
Yeah, but all Michelle did was like, she walked in just radiating joy. Like, you can't not take it in. Like, it's coming out of her eyes, her white teeth. Like, she is just.
Michelle knows who she is.
Yes, and she vibrates at that high frequency that allows everyone to come and be in that joy too. And Patty obviously felt that. She just was like, hi, and then wept.
Yeah, because it's like when you're around somebody who knows like who they are, they're not going to bend for anybody. There's something magical in that, and that you can trust them to make a good decision for themselves. I know Michelle's going to be fine without Matt. I have no questions.
A doubt.
Yeah. I don't know if by the end of that conversation that I felt like Rachel was going to be okay if it wasn't her.
No. And I mean, that was kind of her whole jam. Like, she came in to meet the family of like, Matt's the one, he is perfect for me. I cannot see a way in this to not be him. If he leaves me, I will shit the bed.
Yeah. I will die.
I will die. And fully she just shit the bed before.
Yeah.
They had a chance to break up. Do we want to talk about Rachel says something to Matt. So after Rachel and Michelle, they meet the family and then they go away. Matt like sits down for counsel with his parents, his mom and his brother. And he's like,
as well.
Yeah. His younger brother is his dad. My older sister is my other mom. I have my mom and my other mom, my older sister. I get it. Family dynamics are so weird.
Yeah.
But he was like, I really like how Rachel handles herself, and it has to be foreshadowing to how she's going to handle the hard things moving forward. And I was just like, what a weird thing for you to say. What a crazy foreshadowing for all of us to watch. Like,
oh man, I knew by like episode. Yeah, I spoiled this season for myself about episode 2. So I knew it was going to be her, and I was paying special close attention to watching that relationship build. And it still came out of nowhere. And then, learning of all of this stuff about her past coming out, it made this season feel very eerie for me to watch as just a viewer knowing what's coming.
Yeah.
And just, it made it so much more uncomfortable. And like, there were moments where I was wishing that the outcome was going to be different, just, simply for Matt's sake.
It's simply for Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle too. There was like a moment that's before this episode aired where I was like, maybe he does pick Michelle, and maybe this was just like a big ruse.
He was really I feel like he was giving Michelle so many good, wonderful signals, but also she was giving those signals so he was able to just like easily reciprocate them back to her. I don't necessarily know that he felt that all the time, but it was easy because she was so positive and lovely for him to just also be so positive and lovely.
It's
But
yeah. I will give Rachel some credit when she's later in the After the Rose talking about her feelings for Matt and like where they stemmed from and everything that she loved about him. They were all very real things to love about somebody. Like,
yeah, but I think she's had the criticism. She's had the criticism dished out to her on the social media that like you can't. He was so nice to me. Like she knew, and whatever publicist that she worked with knew that she had to be. I have a hard time with her on After the Final Rose because she repeated.
oh yeah.
That one statement, we saw it twice, like packaged 2 times. So she like told Emmanuel Acho, like, I know our relationship was strong. And so Matt must be in so much pain to have had to end it. And then they go, why, how do you feel about your breakup with Matt? And she goes, I know how strong our relationship was.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look natural.
No, there was a lot of unnatural moments from her during that where, yeah, it did feel like she was parroting something. I felt some like genuine emotion from her when she was just relaying everything that she loved about him. It wasn't just simply that he was nice to me. It was like, I love his sense of humor. I love, there was like a lot of, I wish I wrote it down, but there were like a lot of like real little things about him. Like, I love the way that he supports me through everything and is so strong. And like, that's, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, she said a lot of real concrete things where normally, yeah, oh, he's just really nice to me. Oh, there was one time he gave me his coat and it was cold out and no one's ever done that for me before. And so
I landed on my face. He was super kind.
yeah, he ran to me and was like, oh my God.
A meme, this is very off topic, of just this season is Matt just trying to kill all these women and it's Bree falling off the 4-wheeler. It's Rachel hitting the ground.
He's a serial killer. He takes
having like a bad time coming down the side of the building.
and when he takes Piper out into the woods.
You gonna die tonight?
Flip the switch.
Maybe no. Is it Rachel? Not Rachel. Is it racial that they had him trying to murder all these women? Or am I assigning some racial blame that is making me look pretty interesting right now?
I think it's your fault. You just think he's going to choke you out, Kate.
That's all I want, babe. Choke me out and slap my ass.
I didn't think that Matt was going to be a killer in that wood state. I always thought it was like, here, we signed up to both get tortured together.
I signed the contract for you so they can touch you.
Yeah, they're going to touch you and they're going to make your life hell. They're going to dunk your head in the dirty toilet.
This is fear factor. Can you imagine someone picking you up for a date and you're like really excited and they're like, cockroaches and shit.
Yeah, you're going to get locked in a coffin with a bunch of scorpions and tarantulas. This is going to be great. People pay for that shit. I will never understand.
I don't get it. No, I will go to like the not scary farm, but like I'm not going to pay for like the expensive thrill seeking experiences because literally walking around the park is scary enough.
I've had to shame some of those carnies. They're like fucking carnies are so mean. Like I think they go by scare actors or something. Scractors. Actors. But yeah, I did the Queen Mary experience and my friend just had to go to the bathroom and they would not leave her alone. And she was so scared to even go in. And I was like, at one point I was like, listen, and they're still trying to like get a reaction out of me, but I was in mom mode and I was like, you're not getting a reaction. And I was like, she just needs to go to the bathroom. You guys are a bunch of bullies and you need to back off. And then one of them finally was like, we'll give you a 30-second head start. And I went, thank you. And just like grabbed her bed to like
break
physically.
your friend's shoe?
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah. But yeah, I had to
I
like
remember there's
physically,
a broken flip-flop in this story somewhere.
I'm pretty sure, 'cause, yeah, I had to get physically in between her and all of the other actors who were like skateboarding up and like throwing fire and all this shit. And I was just like, no, and I started laughing in their face and I was like,
They hate that. That
Yeah.
is just like fuel to their fire.
oh yeah, they loved that she was giving them the reactions they were looking for. And I was nooch. I was like, no, you are
So
not
what you have to do, I found out after like the second maze we went through that like there's a level of response that they expect. So if you give them nooch, like you're doing a mom thing, they're going to continue to come for you and try to elevate their scare tactics so they can maybe get something out of you. But if you give them what your friend did, just like a full hysterics, they're going to love that and they're going to feed off that and they're going to want more.
Yeah.
If you do the middle of the road, what I do first to deal with this, I just stuff my scarf in my mouth. So if I scream, no one can hear it. My scarf is going to muffle that scream. And then I'm going to go, I'm going to give them like an original scare so they know they got me. They don't need to follow me anymore. It's like it's this really dumb place you have to be.
I went a different route
for The Bachelor this season. Poor
Yeah.
Matt. He's in the scare maze of producers being like, more women.
Yeah.
We racist.
Yeah, I ended up going a different route where I ended up flirting with one of the clowns, which gave me like they kind of walked around with us, and then I got kind of an in where everybody just kind of left us alone. And so you could take that route too. Just start flirting with anyone. If
I'll suck your dick if you leave me alone.
Yeah, no, I just was like, oh hi, like he was trying to be a bashful clown, and I was like, oh hi, cutie, like, and then just went and hung out with them, and then I made friends with one of their drag queens who was kind of the ringleader. Made best friends with her. She was fucking phenomenal, and took
Long Beach is so much better than Buena Vista. Like, of course, they have drag queens on the Queen Mary, and not
Oh man,
at the Knott's Berry Farm.
Yeah, I found out her drag name, tagged her in Instagram. She was such a doll, kind of directed us and like was like, okay, this maze is really scary. This one is not that bad. You should go do it.
Cutie. I love a regional queen.
I do too. I was like, thank you, mama. I'm gonna find you later. And then I ended up, I think all of the stress of having to be a mama bear and then having to see there was like a whole maze around the amputation and like putting together a perfect husband. I don't do amputation, and
I
so
don't
physically
do
ill.
perfect husbands.
Yeah, fuck that. But yeah, I was not the target of this maze, so it's still funny that I was still like physically ill by the end. And I was like, I can't do anymore. And then by that time, my friends were all brave and were like, we have to keep going, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I'm fucking done. I'm going to go just sit on the sidewalk and.
I'm going to go smoke a cigarette with this drag queen I met.
Yeah, I fucking loved her. She was so cool. So
Long Beach drag queens are very fun. I miss Long Beach so much. I feel like it is like this little, like Los Angeles is like so devoid of just like feeling that like it all trickles down somehow into Long Beach. Like Long Beach is the arts. Long Beach is like the coolness, I think.
Yeah. I'm trying to look up her.
It's the Oakland of Los Angeles is what Maddie and Monty like to say. And I feel like that's so true.
It is. Right? I like that area. Oh, there's some cute pictures in my timeline. No, not my stories. I want my posts.
Wait, I have a question while you're looking for that. What did you think about Matt when Chris was like, there was a part of you after he broke up with Michelle and he was crying on the curb outside? Chris was like, there was a part of you that loved her. And he was just like bawling, was like, yeah, but I wasn't in love with her. Like very definitively. What are your thoughts on that?
God, it's so difficult discerning, especially if you've never felt it before, to discern between what being in love with someone is and what just loving someone is. Yeah, I think I get very cerebral about this topic and I overthink it. I think I still struggle with
This is why you're a love coach.
Yeah, this is the pursuit of how do you exactly, and I think everybody defines it different, but like, how do you define what is going to be a successful romantic relationship and what makes it the difference between that and potentially just a friendship? I think the way that I define it is somebody who is your best friend who you also want to have sex with.
Yeah, it's like not that hard. Like, do you get along? Do you want a bone? That's love.
And that's why I think this show really kind of doesn't do a good job, because there is no the one, and that's what they're banking on. And if you think of, if there is a one, how are you going to find it in 30 people when there's such a bigger sample size out in the world? I think they're just hoping for fate to bring you both there at the same time,
or they were hoping that it would confuse him and give us a shit show of a season.
Exactly. I think in some cases they maybe were hoping that he would choose Rachel because of this, so that it created this spectacle that it's become.
I mean, it's definitely more, I would say it's more interesting to talk about an interracial relationship, especially with the history behind that. Like, I don't think, like, it wasn't until 1967 that interracial couples could legally get married. So, like, of course, that's interesting. But, like, we never really talk about that. And, like, with Rachel, not Kirkconnell, but Rachel Lindsay on her season, like, her final two were white. And we didn't have, like, a really deep discussion on what that means and good stuff. If there's an opportunity to talk about race and how that affects you in a real life situation, The Bachelor will not put that on air. Here's a little piece of tea for y'all. It's not even tea. Emmanuel Acho like put it on his Instagram and hasn't taken it down. So obviously the show is like not too mad about it. But once he was, because he was managing that conversation between Matt and Rachel, he was, I'm sure, looking for a reconciliation. He like asked them to hug and was hoping we could get like a little like hope for the future. And we didn't get that. And so he like over commercial break was like, hey, you know, Michelle seems really upset by Rachel's actions. I think it would be a really nice opportunity to have the two women sit down. And so they had Rachel and Michelle sit down, have a conversation with Emmanuel and talk about Rachel's actions and why they hurt Michelle and what she thinks about that and what Rachel is doing to, you know, be better. They had a full discussion. There was a full reconciliation because those girls were friends, you know, and then the Matteau for weeks. So like, of course of course Michelle feels personally offended by this white girl that she thought she was safe with, that she thought she was friends with. They thought they were cool, to see all of this stuff come out about it. And I'm just, listen, The Bachelor is problematic. We cover this every week, but I'm just so upset that like women supporting women and a conversation, a white woman versus a black woman, not even versus, just like this conversation of racial disparity happened on the show, and there was a reconciliation and none of us saw it.
Isn't that intersectional feminism?
Yeah, we don't care about any kind of feminism on The Bachelor.
No.
Women supporting women? Why? Why would we put that on TV?
No, you guys are competing for a man. There's no men out there. This is it.
The one guy you have. And it's just like, it's shitty. And after the final rose, like, because there was no live audience.
Oh, it was weird.
It felt super end of days. And I will say, like, after a year of being in COVID, I think we can all kind of understand that feeling. It was just like, I don't see how this franchise, like, I don't see how The Bachelor can continue.
I would be fine if it was canceled, if this was it.
Yeah.
I mean, I do want to see
coming up. So
Yeah.
let's do The Bachelorette and just take The Bachelor out of rotation until they can get their shit together.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I am very excited for Michelle and Katie. I think this is really fun.
And I'm so excited that Caitlin Bristow and Tayshia Adams are going to be filling in for Chris Harrison.
I'm so glad. Like, just keep them on forever.
Forever and ever. Anyway, Caitlin Bristow is on the outs with Mike Fleiss, creator of The Bachelor. Like, she accidentally Snapchatted to the world that her and Sean were together the day, like right after the final rose. She was supposed to send it to like her closies, but she hit the wrong button. Like, that's all it takes, and it was out for 1 minute, and everyone knew. So she was shit upon. They didn't want her. She was supposed to be on Dancing with the Stars years ago, but they canceled her contract because they fucking hated her. Anyway, now that she is thriving in her own thing and winning Dancing with the Stars and doing all these great things, they're bringing her back into the fold. So I'm happy that she's able to have this. Like, I'm happy that they're giving that to her because she's very deserving. And then Tayshia, obviously, huge friend of the pod.
Yeah, we love you, Tayshia.
Love you, Tayshia. We love you, Matt's brother, John.
I want to say that the sheer not friend of the pod is this wardrobe supervisor who put Emmanuel Acho in the smallest suit possible. Where were the wardrobe fittings? This was actually a fun outfit. I am getting really tired. Yeah, like check. I love the shoes. Those were cool. Like
with the turtleneck.
Yeah, I mean, I am kind of bored seeing the turtleneck right now because Matt has just worn it into the ground. But
I think we should all be wearing shirts up to our chins. It's the only way.
It will just accentuate my double chin. I can't.
It will decentuate my titties.
Yeah.
I just flashed you.
But come on, they knew he was going to be sitting. So why were we not doing fittings, testing him sitting down in this suit and just adjusting? He looked like he was going to Hulk out of it at any moment. I mean, he's a muscular dude.
Do you think that's what they were trying to show us? Like, he's kind and quiet right now, but with a flex of his muscle, he could bust through that suit. Tell Rachel, you're racist. I don't know. It was not a cute look. I will say, the women on The Bachelor, it's only the final two ladies that ever get to work with.
They looked stunning.
I mean, we never saw Michelle in a gown. We don't know what that would have looked like, but that emerald green, high neck, backless, gorgeous number that Rachel was in for the final rose ceremony with like her Art Deco emerald green earrings.
Yes.
I can't say enough nice things. I wish we got 2 proposals.
Yeah, I wanted to see both. I mean, them after the final rose, their makeup and hair looked.
Oh my gosh. Michelle showed up with like a smoky eye.
And her earrings were like a drop down green. They both.
Oh yeah, she had like a full like rich ass jade experience on her ear that I was very much about. She also was so kind. I feel like she had a great showing on the after the final rose, and then like low key roasted Matt so hard. I hope you learn to kiss with your eyes closed and say something other than thank you for sharing with me.
I hope you learned some new vocabulary in your journey. That was such a sick burn. I love that. I mean, Matt just giggled at it, which, you know,
what can you do?
Yeah, I enjoy someone who can make fun of themselves or like laugh at themselves. And I think Matt's really good at that. That is something I will credit him with.
Mhm.
I don't know what this beard is. I want it to go away.
It's his single definer. Like,
It's
he's
not,
showing people he is not with Rachel.
yeah. I mean, I know
I ain't eating pussy with this beard now. He's
but
not eating pussy with that beard.
he's not.
Have you ever had,
Mhm.
I'm trying to remember for my own self. Do you notice a difference between like a full bearded man and a shaved man?
Yeah, I like a full.
I do with kissing. If I'm kissing like a freshly shaved man, I get a rash here and a rash here just because I have sensitive skin and they rub my little
Next
nose.
day, I've got abrasions. My skin's never been so dry because it'll look like it's peeling because they've just exfoliated my whole face.
They're just rubbing sandpaper all over your whole face. But what about your lady bits?
Yeah, I mean, those are usually fine. I don't know if I notice a difference between the two.
I don't think I have either.
Unless they've shaven betwixt down there themselves, that's a nightmare.
If they're fresh and you're fresh shaven, it's like Velcro.
It's a fucking nightmare. Like, well, no pain when when that is happening, and it's not a fun pain. It is the worst.
Couples who shave together break up in trauma.
Just, like you both can't. I prefer my men fully hairy all over, completely, just
Yeah.
everywhere. I like wolf men. But yeah, I just think like a full beard that's been like beard oiled and cleaned and just soft and just, yeah, I like that. Not like grandpa, but just something that's kind of manicured but not too much. Just
Yeah, that was a little like on the cusp, I would say, of like big beard versus manicured beard. Like it could have used, we said this on the Women Tell All, but it could have used a little, just a little like trim.
Yeah, just take some clippers through it real quick so it just kind of shapes it, because I love when it gives them that like really squared jaw.
Ooh, I love a strong jaw.
Yeah, this didn't do anything. It was like a weird Santa-esque, like it was just bushy. It was just out. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about his beard hair, but I shall. And
I feel like
it's an impressive beard.
As women who have dated beards and no beards, I feel like
it looked extra oily, like they were putting oil in it this time.
They put a lot of serum in him this time.
Yeah, which
it was like almost like a little glittery.
Yeah, I just noticed it was glistening under the lights, and I was like, I don't think it's having the intention that you're looking for. It just doesn't. I don't know. I feel like that beard just takes away from how attractive Matt actually is.
Yeah, I think his actual face is very nice.
Yeah, I love when he has this little 5 o'clock shadow thing going. That looks really hot on him.
Yeah, that's a good look for him. A full beard, interesting. What do you think is going to happen in the future with? Do you think this is the end of Rachel and Matt? Is this the end of Rachel and Michelle as well?
Matt and Michelle? I hope it's not the end of Rachel and Michelle. I hope that they continue to support each other, and I hope Rachel lifts up Michelle and helps her also get those followers and also gets those queens.
Mm-hmm.
I do not think it's the end for Rachel and Matt.
The rest of the universe is not agreeing with you, but I don't think you're wrong. Like everyone is just like, wow, Matt, you were cold and a piece of shit. That's never going to happen for y'all. But you think something else.
A lot of pressure on him to be that way, especially for her transgressions. It would make him look bad in the public eye if he was so forgiving of her. almost like he's being an apologist for her behavior. So I think he was taking the right route and letting her grow on her own. But I think that he is waiting till a lot of this heat dies down, and then he's going to slide back into those DMs and get back with her because they are both addicts, and that is what addicts do.
Okay, what's his first message to her post, like all of this blowing over? Does he slide in with just like a hey?
I think it's going to be like a, hey, stranger. That's the go-to.
That's
the trigger.
I'm so triggered by that.
Because that's what these types of people do, is they try to just slip in with something like kind of cute and to just signify, oh, it's been a while. Hey, stranger. And then it's, it's all bad, but I don't see them working out in the end. I don't think that they work, but I think that they're both so they're addicts are getting something out of it, and they both chose each other because they were getting some specific need met that other people weren't meeting, and that they're not able to meet themselves at this point. I don't think that they're going to be able to walk away from that. And so Matt is just simply waiting, and then he's going to try to come back and fix those things. And it might be under the radar for a bit, but you heard it here. I don't think he's done with her. And she's obviously not done with him. So if he came back, she'd jump in at the chance.
Oh, she's for sure ready. Do you think either of them will make an appearance on Bachelor in Paradise?
I think, I don't know if ABC is going to bring them on. I think Matt is probably disillusioned at this point with.
Oh, he's been handed a shit deal. Of course, he should, and I get it. Be disillusioned.
Yeah, and we don't really ever see our leads on Paradise unless they're the success story.
Yeah, Becca did show up for a moment to be like, Colton, get over me and move on.
Yeah. That was sad.
I think I would personally shit if Rachel showed up as like a person who was competing on Paradise.
Yeah, that's what
I would be upset if she showed up in 2022.
Yeah, I think we all need time to let her grow before she's back in the public spotlight. But I wouldn't put it past producers to try to put her back out there really quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Especially because she is a hot topic that I think they want controversial people out there. Victoria will probably come back onto Paradise at some point. Mm-hmm. So I do see Rachel being offered it. I'm just hoping for her own sanity that she takes a step back. I don't know if she will, if she does get offered it, because, you only have so much time before you're old news and forgotten, and then, but she
was the final choice. Like, we're not going to forget her for a long time. They could sleep on her and bring her back in 2025. And we'd be like, Rachel, yes, she's like a big player. We totally know who she is.
Yeah, racist Rachel.
Yeah. Also, people were super pissed that like Bree did not. Usually, there's like a spot for the second runner-up because they don't get a spot on Women Tell All. I imagine it was a COVID thing. Maybe it was just a Bree not wanting to like quarantine and go back on TV. I have no idea, but it would have been really lovely to hear from her. She did do a podcast with Caitlin Bristow very recently talking about her decision to leave her job and, what that meant and how she hoped it would have been shown on The Bachelor and all that good stuff. Because she was like, no, it wasn't just like I'm going to pick Matt. She was like, there was some decision making, there was some hemming and hawing. And like, I really wish for women, they would have shown that, like, are you going to pick love? Or are you going to pick your career?
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope she shows up on Paradise.
I do too. I
is the queen. I hope she's like the popular girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Rachel isn't on it, then Bree would be the top of this season, like as far as the ranking goes.
Yeah.
as somebody who's had the most time on our TVs,
Today.
our TVs, yeah, I really root for Brie. I think she's just so cool and fantastic, and I would love to keep having her on our TV screens.
Oh, I know. Or even if not on our TV, like I hope she's just thriving somewhere.
Yeah,
This has been a season.
yeah. I think
I don't know if it was good. I do know that it was bad.
yeah, I think the awkward silences in the after the final rose just spoke volumes of it was kind of the space that we all needed. You can tell Matt is still processing everything. And I love that they kept all of that dead air in because it just
Oh,
spoke to how uncomfortable
yeah.
it must have felt for everybody. And
Oprah said, was he silent or was he silenced?
yeah, I think it was a little bit of I'm still processing. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to answer these questions yet. And also, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. I'm not going to puppet your little show anymore. I'm not going to give you the little answers you provided me because I just don't give a shit anymore. My heart is broken and I feel duped. Like, of course I'm inserting this stuff in and I don't want to speak for Matt, but that's kind of what that silence said to me.
Yeah, that fully spoke to me. I hope he and Tyler C get a happy couples weekend and they get to just like maybe suck each other's dicks or maybe not.
Yeah, Matt, shave your beard for Tyler C.
He doesn't, you can suck a dick with a full beard. He'll be fine. They'll be fine. Eating ass would be another thing, but like maybe Matt wants his ass eaten by Tyler, so he doesn't have to shave his beard.
Yeah, that's true.
I hope they find love with each other.
Yeah, me too. I mean,
I hope we get a full special of them.
yeah, oh my God, I would die if they came to paradise as a couple and like got married on the beach, like Ashley and Jared.
That's all I want.
Oh man, that would be the best ending. Yeah, so this concludes this season of The Batch.
We are one season closer to paradise.
Nice. And we have two.
For sure. We have our official announcement. So what we told you all last week has been confirmed. Katie is filming already. They just released her men's list today. And then Michelle will be filming, I think, over late summer and then airing in the fall.
Yeah. So it's going to be great. We have two wonderful women who are healthy and secure and know who the fuck they are and what they want. And I'm so here for that. And
and hopefully we get a fucking long season of paradise in between.
Yeah. And I don't think we're going to have Chris Harrison on these 2 seasons at all. I hope he does not try to make a little special appearance. Fuck you. Stay home.
Or do you think his voiceovers will be carrying us through? Because we got him 3 hours. Even though Emmanuel Acho was hosting the After the Final Rose, all the lead-ins and all the lead-outs, all the bumpers were Chris Harrison's voice.
Which I hated because it's like ABC can't even fucking keep a promise to us that this fucking dick.
The credits and it was like executive producer Chris Harrison. So like even if he didn't show up for this, like he's still getting paid.
Yeah, and what was so frustrating is at the beginning, I think Emmanuel said, we're going to talk about Chris's insensitive comments. We never fucking talked about that.
We got into it a teeny tiny bit when Emmanuel and Matt spoke, but like very briefly. Yeah.
I want a full, like, we're going to do a full play-by-play of this 13-minute thing, and I want Emmanuel going, you fucked up. I just want him roasting Chris. He doesn't even have to really play the video because fuck him. But Emmanuel, I just want him to just keep roasting him and being like, you suck. How dare you?
Yeah, we didn't. I mean, I liked Emmanuel Acho on the After the Final Rose, and I hope they give him a live audience and a whole thing like post COVID. And I think he could really run away with it. I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
But like, we didn't have any actual like uncomfortable conversations about race. We didn't illustrate to white America why this was the way it was. I think the Rachel Michelle conversation would have been very healing and very telling for a lot of people, and maybe there would be less trolls floating around.
Yeah. I think the closest we got to see was Emmanuel saying, I hold the weight of every conversation I have with a white person, that I
Yeah,
have to be the example of how Black men are. And so I'm holding myself to a really high standard so that I make them feel comfortable, and it's really exhausting.
yeah, that's a lot. I was listening to that going like, what kind of emotional labor? Obviously, I'm not Black
Yeah.
and I don't have that kind of thing, but there is,
Mhm.
it helped me evaluate what my emotional labor that I was putting out into the world,
Oh
like,
yeah,
is that important to me? Is that a good use of my time? And like, honestly, no.
oh yeah, no, I spend a lot of time in my brain trying to figure out what people want and give them that, so that, and that's my own fawn response kicking in. But this is
Yeah,
in their case, it's like society is already putting onto you that you need to fawn to us so that you have a right to be here. Whereas like me as a white girl, I'm very disarming, unassuming. People aren't nervous about me entering a room. It's
right.
just different. It's just my need to be liked or to control how other people's perception of me. Theirs is very different. There's a safety issue.
Yeah.
That,
Well, and like an entire social issue. Like, if I
absolutely.
fuck this up, what is that person's view of a Black person as a whole? Like, how is that going to affect their entire view as a race? Which, like, that's so much labor.
Mhm.
I I wish we got more moments like that, because that was like a moment where I understood, I was able to apply it to my own labor, and it clicked immediately with me. And why didn't we get some more of those just like low key examples like peppered throughout?
I loved that. That was, I think, yeah, something that a lot of people could either empathize with, or people just go, whoa, I did not realize that that
Mhm.
was out there. Holy
Yeah.
shit. What
I
can
wake
I
up every day and just like, and myself, and hope for the best, and have never thought about what other people might be thinking about this person.
Yeah, yeah. So like, yeah, how can we as white people make Black people feel more comfortable in a room with us? And
Wouldn't that have been, I would have loved that discussion, because I hate that, like, just my presence in Black people's lives brings them harm. Like that makes them feel stressed, and that makes them feel like they have to cater to me and my whiteness, and like we don't know what that means. I can be actively anti-racist, but like, it is that, I don't know if it's correct. Like, I don't know if what I'm doing is, it's
yeah,
hard. But
what's
also, I could Google that, and they don't need to tell me that, and it's not their labor that they have to do for me.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's having an indirect response rather than, I think what you're seeking is something that's more direct, like a direct impact on somebody in
Mhm.
your immediate life, rather than like what you are indirectly like putting out into the world for yourself and for other people, just to be more of an ally.
Yeah, I will say, as like a call to action to anyone listening to this pod or watching this YouTube. I mean, there's so much stuff going on with the Asian
Oh yeah.
hate. I mean, that's like a huge thing. Obviously, as white people, we're still very racist against the Black people, but the Asian hate has hit,
Escalated.
it totally escalated because of Trump's representation of COVID. and that little corner of the world. If you are a person that loves to joke about Asians casually or any race, like just think about the language that you use with your friends. Think about the language you use in your head. Is there a place where you can do better? It starts with you. Clean up your act and hope that everyone else is doing that too.
Yeah, like don't just love pieces of that culture. You have to also love the people in that culture. So I love that somebody was saying like don't just love our anime or our clothes or this, like our food, like love us too.
Yeah.
With just in general, appreciate everyone and celebrate their differences and we have to protect each other. Being a
Absolutely. And if you're not ready, if you're not in a place of just like full love, maybe just channel it into not hating another race. Go to therapy instead of murdering 8 women.
that was just
It's tough.
yeah. I mean there's so much that goes into that act of violence. Like a lot of it probably comes from fetishizing Asian women.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's like an act of sexual violence on top of just actual violence, and just heartbreaking that there are demons among us that think that that's a solution.
Yeah. And honestly, if you can take a moment and put yourself in the shoes of that murderer and say he was having a bad day, you can also take a moment to put yourself in those shoes of what it means to be a person of color in this world.
Yeah.
In America specifically.
And empathize.
Look at your choices. Are you doing the best that you can do for people of color?
Yeah. And empathize more with the victim. Can you imagine how fucking terrifying that would be? And how helpless?
Ladies at work, they're just trying to make money for their family or themselves. I don't give a shit who. Like, they're just trying to earn a living. I mean, I can't go too deep into like the specifics of what happened that day because like it makes me so upset.
Yeah. So instead of empathizing with the assailant all the time, why don't we just stop and think of the victims and kind of how they, their experience and how that would feel, and that you would want people to fight for you in this, you would want justice for you or your wife, your sister, your daughter, all of that. So
You want someone to be able to look at that and know where the hate was coming from, it's really bringing me down today. But on that note, y'all, it's been a really fun season.
Yeah.
We had a couple weeks to chill out and gather intel on Katie's season, and then we'll be dropped back into some resort in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yeah. So we'll either be back for Katie's season, or maybe we'll come up with something in the meantime. Maybe another dating show that's a little bit more of a palate cleanser, that's not so charged like this.
Keep your ears to the ground. We are always hoping that we are closer to paradise, and once we get cool tea on all that, we'll let you know who's going to be there, or if the Bachelor just gets completely canceled, that's fine too.
So subscribe so that you can be notified when the next episode hits and releases. Follow us on our social medias so that you can also be notified of when things are coming up. And like us, comment, share us with a buddy.
Tell a friend, tell 10 friends, tell 100 friends.
Tell every fucking person you know.
Sammie and I want to quit our real jobs and talk to you on YouTube forever.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'll keep coaching, but let's help Kate quit her job and do this full time. And then let's get me as a coach on the fucking Bachelor if we continue this fucking shit show.
Sammie, we want you to be a coach on any other dating show, not The Bachelor. They'll treat you like garbage.
No, I will treat them like garbage.
Garbage bag, take that cash and treat him like trash.
Okay.
Well, do no harm, cause no hurt. Okay.
Rule. Treat others how they would like to be treated.
And check in with yourself and your boundaries. We
All right.
love you. Happy Matt James season to everyone. Bachelor, do better. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.